Fortnite Chapter 7 Season 1 is finally here, and for the first time in a minute, Epic has added a bunch of new setting options. I live for this stuff. Seriously though, because Epic has added all these new settings, and because it's a whole new chapter, everyone's FPS and overall performance will be different as well. That's why today, we'll be optimizing your in-game Fortnite settings, going through the best colorblind and brightness mode options for the new Chapter 7 locations, as well as discussing all the brand new settings Epic dropped, including Simple Build. It's just like Simple Edit. So make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and use code JERIAN to support the content. Otherwise, let's get into my Chapter 7 settings guide. Alright, so as per usual, timestamps will be down below. Feel free to skip to wherever you want, but where we're gonna start is at Sus Studios. No, but for real, where we're actually gonna start is in your settings, the in-game settings obviously. On the 4th tab at the top, these are your literal game settings in your Fortnite game settings. And we're gonna begin with the biggest new setting Epic added. If you scroll down, you'll see it under the building section. It is the setting called Simple Build. Now, Simple Build, as the name sounds, works a lot like Simple Edit. To turn it on, all you need to do is go here, press on, and press apply. The simplest way to explain Simple Build, the simplest Simple Build explanation, is if you look on the bottom right, you will now see that I only have 2 different build signs. Before, and I can actually show you if I just quickly turn this off, before on the bottom right, you can see I have 4 different builds I can choose through with different keybinds. There's my wall, my floor, my ramp, and my cone. But when I turn Simple Build on, those 4 different build options you have are now reduced to 2. And if you actually look above them, the keybind, you can see the one on the left is left click, which is your primary, and the one on the right, which you could use with right click, is your secondary Simple Build. Now, one thing with setting up Simple Build that's important is if you look to the left there, it says switch mode is unbound. So to bind it, go into your settings, go on the top to your keybinds here, scroll down right under building, and towards the bottom, you should see switch mode. So that is a switch mode that was unbound. Put it on something that you can easily reach. I will do X. And actually, you can look below it. These are your Simple Build keybinds. Like I said, your primary, which is traversal, meaning you can run while you press it. That is left click. Leave it as left click. And secondary is your wall, which I would recommend to leave as right click. And that's only if you're going to use Simple Edit, by the way. So press apply. And now we can actually use Simple Edit by pressing X. That's going to bring out our primary build. Depending on where we look, it's either a wall, a floor, or a cone. All 3 of them are within your primary Simple Build. And then for your secondary, there's no way to just swap to it automatically. You have to go to your primary first by pressing X, and then you press right click. And boom, that's gonna bring up your wall. You can actually notice that right away, oh my god. It is hard to use, but right away, as soon as you press to build a wall, it goes back to your primary, aka a floor or a ramp or a cone, depending on where you look. You can't just hold the secondary out unless you're spamming it. That's the only way to hold your secondary out. Oh my gosh. You can see, it's not that easy. Bruh. Anyways, though, something important to note with Simple Build, which I don't know if Epic meant to do, you could actually bring out your primary builds by just pressing any of your normal keybinds. So like right now, I'm not pressing X, I'm pressing Q, which is my old floor. And look, your primary build comes out. So that also works if I do my ramp, which used to be on my mouse button. It's going to go back to the primary build. It's not going to bring out your ramp, or like pressing your cone's not going to bring out your cone. It's instead going to bring out the primary keybind, which again, all depends on your crosshair placement. So looking, let me just build a wall, which is my secondary. So I have my wall. Let's go to primary. Depending on where I look at this wall is what it's going to build. There's ramp, but if I look like right above, it builds a floor. And then if I look on a floor, it automatically builds a cone. So it's just like Simple Edit in that depending on where your crosshair is, you can even see. Like I bet if I just, it's, oh my god. It's actually pretty hard to build a floor above you. Pretty easy to build a ramp. Below you, look straight down. Boom. Oh my god. Simple Build, it's not as good as Simple Edit. You should be able to tell right away. And also, you can switch your build material. So if I press, I think I have it on V. Yeah, I have brick, The only, I guess, easy one is your wall, but even then, look, you go straight back. Like, if you want to spam a wall, you just, bro. 90s? Okay, hold on. It's so ugly. So I guess to speak on my thoughts on Simple Build, you probably can guess already that it's just way too clunky. Right away, I feel like Simple Build was not that bad. Or sorry, Simple Edit was not that bad. Simple Build, on the other hand, though, it's too hard, or I guess it's too clunky, especially if you've actually built before. There's really no need to switch to it if you're half decent at building or have any sort of muscle memory with your 4 normal keybinds for building. However, I guess if you're coming back to the game for Chapter 7, maybe you only play no builds, or maybe you just don't want to learn how to build, even then, I kind of advise you to learn how to build normally with 4 normal keybinds, not Simple Build. Maybe if you're just bored, try it out and see how good you can get with it for a day, because personally, I just think your muscle memory, especially the fact that the primary build, you have your floor, a cone, and a ramp all together? Like, look at that. You have to look so high up. Bro, you have to be crazy with your crosshair placement, in which case you're probably a demon on normal builds anyways. So unfortunately, even though Simple Build, it looks pretty cool in theory. Where the hell is it? I went to the wrong setting. But for the majority of people, especially if you've been playing the game before, you don't need Simple Build on. You're gonna be way better and quicker. What the heck? It got so dark. You're gonna be way better and quicker with 4 normal keybinds. And look, if you hold your wall out, you can just keep it out. That's gonna be way better for competitive and actually getting better at the game. You don't want the game sort of dictating which build it's gonna preset back to and mess up everything that you already know about the game. Simple Edit though, not too shabby, still viable and competitive. Simple Build though, it's a no from me, dog. Time for all the other in-game settings now, and you'll notice I'm over on the right side. That way we can actually read the settings on the left and even above me. But starting in the video settings, the first tab, we're gonna go under the display options and start with window mode. Window mode, as you guys should know, the best is gonna be full screen or windowed full screen. You never want to play on windowed, but both of the full screen options are good, especially normal full screen. You can even read in full screen mode. You cannot interact with other windows as easily, but the game will run slightly faster. And that's straight from Epic. After that, resolution, I play on 1920 by 1080, and I recommend you guys to play on your native res, basically the third option to the right here, because Epic actually did something cool that we'll look at in a second. But after that, VSync, make sure you have VSync off. The only time you want to turn VSync on if you're getting screen tearing while playing is through your Nvidia settings, not through Fortnite. Then frame rate limit, this one is also pretty simple. You want to have this as one above your monitor's refresh rate. So for example, if you play on a 60 Hz monitor, go to 120 FPS. If you're on a 120 Hz monitor, go to 144 FPS. 144 Hz monitor, go to 160, and so on and so forth. The only time you don't want to go above is if you're at 360 Hz. Basically, don't go to unlimited FPS. You'll get way too big frame drops that you will not like. So stay at 360 FPS and you'll be good. And then finally, rendering mode, which was it last chapter they introduced it? I don't remember when they introduced it, but it's fairly new. You now have 4 options: DirectX 12, Performance Mode, DirectX 11, and then the old Legacy Performance. So this performance, which had the same as the old performance name, this is the new performance, and then Legacy or Deprecated Performance is the old one. The only difference between the two, it's really kind of simple, is the new performance, it uses DirectX 12, while the old performance, Legacy, uses DirectX 11. So essentially they do the same exact thing. They'll make your game run better. They look the same exact way. Nothing is really different except for how your computer actually interacts with them. So for me specifically, and other people that have higher end GPUs, think of Nvidia 4000 series or 5000 series, or if you have an AMD GPU, I would recommend trying the new DirectX 12 performance mode, not DirectX 12 Performance, the one that uses DirectX 12, because it actually actually will make your game feel and run smoother. I haven't felt any sort of extra latency, which I know some people might experience, but my game is so much smoother on this new DirectX 12 performance mode. I get none of the hitches that I used to get on legacy performance, even though FPS is around the same. But if you don't have a high-end GPU, definitely still use legacy performance. Don't go to any of these other options. Legacy performance is fine. Many pros that have high-end GPUs will be using the old performance mode, so it's not bad to use it. But either use the new one or the old one. Performance is still clear of all the other options, aka DirectX 11 and DirectX 12, non-performance mode. And after that, we will skip the graphics settings. You guys know I like to do the brightness and colorblind mode at the end, and we'll go down to where it says graphics quality for performance mode. I've said it so many freaking times. If you've never seen a settings video, Epic basically tells you that you only see these with performance mode, but if you're not on performance mode, you'll see a bunch of other settings that you only get on normal DirectX 12 and DirectX 11. Unfortunately though, those settings that you don't see affect normal performance mode, the one that we're going to use or even the old one. So after we do all of these settings, we're going to have to go to DirectX 12 or DirectX 11, change all the other graphics quality options that are currently not here. I don't know why Epic makes us do that, but for now we'll go through the performance mode ones, which are actually also on normal DirectX 12 and DirectX 11. Ugh, it makes no sense. Anyways, auto set quality button, do not ever press this. Instead, what you can press is this new setting, even though it's not technically new, but there is a new name, and how it works is new. It is your minimum 3D resolution. So how this works, it's pretty interesting because it now works, or I guess it might have starting last chapter, but they never explained it this way, is minimum 3D resolution works directly with your dynamic 3D resolution. So we're gonna go straight to this one. You can see it's off, and I actually can't turn it on. The only way to turn dynamic 3D resolution on is to have your minimum 3D res as something lower than 100%. So I can even do 99%, and look, dynamic 3D res is now available. I'm gonna turn it on, press apply. Nope. We're not changing. But if you read the description, dynamic 3D resolution automatically adjusts the 3D resolution based on GPU load. So when your GPU usage is low, the resolution increases up to native resolution, while when GPU usage is high, meaning a lot of things are happening on your PC, the resolution decreases down to the minimum 3D resolution setting. And that is actually really, really good. Basically what it means is if you have a huge load on your GPU, wait, why does that sound sus? If you have a lot of things running on your PC, or maybe your GPU just isn't the greatest, your game is gonna run at this minimum 3D resolution, which I have at 99%, but you could set down to like 60, or even, I mean, you can go pretty low, but I wouldn't go past like 50. So you can set it to 50, aka you'll have a 50% of your normal 3D res. Not sure if you guys can tell that it's like a little blurry. You'll basically have less pictures on the screen. It won't look as HD or like as clear, essentially. But that is good if you don't have a great PC, because look what happens if I have dynamic 3D res on. When your GPU usage is low, meaning your game is running well, look at this. It goes back up to native res, aka 100%, which that could be really useful. Like if you're off spawn, your GPU is fine, you're gonna have normal 100% res, but then in an end game where maybe your GPU is just going through it, it'll drop down to 50% 3D res, help your game run better, but it won't look as clear. It'll look more blurry. So I mean, it's sort of a trade-off. Now that I say that out loud, yeah, maybe it's not the greatest thing in the world, but I feel like if you could actually get your PC to run decently in an endgame with just sacrificing maybe, I don't know, 30% of your 3D res, that's not so bad, because most of the time, as long as your PC isn't a potato, this is what it'll look like. It'll look like normal 100%, your native resolution as it explains. So anyone who's struggling to get good FPS, even after this video, try your minimum 3D res at like 50%, maybe even try down to 30. Try some random values in here in a game and see how it feels. Also see how it looks, because that's going to be the main thing. To finish off though, view distance put on near, textures on low, and meshes on low. These are going to be the best settings. Advanced graphics show FPS you want to have on. Latency markers turn off. You only want this on if you're testing stuff and you're a nerd like me. Nvidia reflex low latency though, try try on plus boost or just on, try both of them, and then report performance stats, disable, turn this off. We don't want to help Epic because it will reduce our FPS. Now what we're going to do before we get into the final colorblind mode options is, as I explained, we got to go to DirectX 11 or DirectX 12. It doesn't matter which. Just press apply and restart. And the reason for this, boys, is as you will see in a second, if you've never seen one of my videos, Epic hides certain settings in those graphics quality options that not only affect how your PC performs on performance mode, but literally they only show up when you go to DirectX 11 or DirectX 12. So here we are on DirectX 12, and look at this, guys. Graphics quality, non-performance mode. You can see the little parentheses is not there, but look at all these dang settings. Bro, where were half of these on performance mode? Even in advanced graphics, there's new settings. Like what, man? Oh, actually, in graphics, there's new settings too. Motion blur was not there, so make sure you turn motion blur off before you go back to performance mode. That is under the graphics settings that usually I wait until after. But back to graphics quality, auto set, again, you're gonna skip. Quality preset you want on custom, which if you cannot find, just go to low. Look at that. Custom disappeared. We have to go and get it ourselves. So go to low, skip the quality setting guidance. That's what I'm here for. Anti-aliasing and super resolution you can skip. Temporal super resolution you can skip. And the way to get custom is your minimum 3D res, which they set at 85%. So maybe that's not bad to try. Put your minimum 3D res to 100% and boom, quality preset will go to custom, just like I have it. After that, all of these settings should be off because we turned the low set quality preset on, or we turn the quality preset to low. That's what I meant to say. So all of these will be off on near or low, basically the lowest you can get. That is how you get the best FPS in Fortnite. And after that, in advanced graphics, unfortunately, the low quality preset will not change your advanced graphics. So you will need to change the new one, which is the use GPU crash debugging. Make sure you turn this off because again, just like with report performance stats, you can even read it. Enabling this feature comes at a small performance cost. Oh, hell no! We're not doing that. So ladies and gentlemen, there are the best in-game Fortnite settings for Chapter 7 Season 1. This includes your performance mode settings. I guess maybe we could have started with DirectX 12, but I was already on performance. Now we can go back to performance, press apply, and when I restart this time, when we come back in, we will finish in the graphics settings, aka your colorblind and brightness mode. Finishing off with your colorblind and brightness mode options, aka your graphics settings, you guys should know I basically use the default here. Brightness at 100%, user interface contrast at 1x. That is only, by the way, for your settings. It does not change the contrast in game. Colorblind mode I have off. I don't use any sort of colorblind mode, and same goes for user interface parallax. This just changes stuff in the shop. But what I will do, and what I've been doing for the past few seasons, especially because I know I'm at, what is it, Wonky Land, which actually has a bunch of different colors. It's a freaking water park. There's roller coaster rides. What I've been doing to make my game look better is outside of Fortnite. I've been minimizing it like this, going to my desktop, right-clicking, going to my Nvidia control panel, and on the left there under display, if you go to adjust desktop color settings and scroll down, you can change a setting called digital vibrance. So what this does is it does change your whole desktop. Like if I drop it down to 0, it's black and white, there's no vibrance, and if I crank it up, you can see there's crazy colors. But something like 60%, even just 55%, you can see in game, it makes stuff pop a little more. There's more color like the purple there. I'm not even full screen right now, but I think the game looks pretty dang nice. Let's see, is like 75% overkill? I mean, yeah. I probably wouldn't go this high just because it might look a little crazy when I render my video, but it looks pretty dang good in game. Look at the greens. Bro, this is 75% digital vibrance, everything else on default. If you haven't tried a different digital vibrance before, definitely check it out. You can always change it back by just going back to 50%. That will apply to the whole desktop, so if you're on Google Chrome, if you're playing any other game, this digital vibrance will be the same for that. It's changes for everything. Those are my graphics settings for Chapter 7 Season 1. I think the game looks pretty nice. Not too shabby, everything on default. So yeah, make sure to use code JERIAN, like and subscribe, and thank you for watching.